Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Whitted, and today we're going to be going over the Glasgow Coma Scale, or the GCS score, right? And I talk about this a lot during the March protocol, and really what you're looking at is the overall neurological assessment of the patient, right? So what's their level of consciousness whenever you get that patient, okay? And the Glasgow Coma Scale is a scaling score between 3 to 15, 15 being the best, 3 being the worst. And each of the individual categories, so you have eyes, verbal, and motor, right? EVM, have different scoring systems. So eyes has 4, verbal has 5, and then motor has 6. So you get EVM 4, 5, 6, right? And that's how we're going to score everything. Now, everyone's going to come up with a different score. I don't care who you are. You could be a 20-year doctor. You could be a first-year medical resident. You could be a respiratory therapist like me. And you will still get a different score than everyone else. But as long as everybody's in the same ballpark, that's all that's important, right? So for eyes, whenever you're looking at the score of 4, you're looking at spontaneous opening. You're looking at opening up to verbal. You're looking at to pressure or to pain, if they open to pain. And then the last one is they don't open up at all, right? So the lowest scoring being 1, the highest scoring being 4, right? Moving on to verbal responses. If they're oriented to place and time, great. If they're a little bit confused, that's a 4. If they have random words that are just popping out of their mouths, that's a 3. And then if they have just random garbled whatever, that is a 2. And if they aren't talking at all, that is a 1, right? So that's your verbal. So those are the 5 points there. And then lastly, for motor, you're looking at 6, right? And so this one's a little bit tougher because there's a lot going on here. So if they obey commands, if they wiggle their fingers, if they move their arms, if they wiggle their toes, all that good stuff, that's going to be a 6. If they localize to pain, right? So if you touch them over here, if you pinch them on the shoulder and they're like, ah, frick, then that's a 5. If they have normal flexion, right? So we want to go towards the chords, like if they bring themselves in like this, then that means that's normal flexion. If they have abnormal flexion like this, where they go away from the chord, this is called decordicate, right? If you see this, that's bad. And then if they just extend, right, then that's going to be even worse than that, right? So if you're seeing normal flexion, good. If you see abnormal flexion where they're flexing away from themselves, that's worse. And then if you see just straight extension, that's the worst of them all, right? So out of all of those, or none, right? So out of all of those, that's how you're going to score all that. Now, generally, if you're below an 8, that is a severe coma scale, right? So if they're below an 8, generally they're going to need a tube. They're going to need life supporting assistance, right? If they're between a 9 to a 12, that's a moderate score. You might want to reassess them more frequently. And then if they're between a 13 to 15, that's a mild score, but usually they're pretty good. Like if they're over 12, they're okay for the most part. And that is how we're going to go ahead and check them neurologically. That is how we're going to assess them whenever we're doing like our neuro checks and stuff like that. We also want to go ahead and take a peek at their eyes. We want to see if they have dilation or if they have pinpoint in response to light. And we'll talk about that in a separate video. So overall, GCS, EVM, 4, 5, 6, thinking about those scores, great assessment for levels of consciousness, and something that we should always do when a patient first hits the bed. Thank you very much for watching this. I know it was a little bit longer than normal, but it is hard to explain the GCS without going into some details. Thanks y'all for being here. I will see you in the next video.